Did you know that driving under the influence of marijuana is illegal? Driving high will get you a DUI. And if you're wondering if law enforcement can tell you're driving high, well, everyone else can. Friends?
I can tell you drove high.
Parents?
I can tell when you drive high.
Relatives?
I can tell. You drove here high, didn't you?
So what makes you think law enforcement can't?
I can tell.
If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Rise up! Team Rise! Rise up! Team Rise!
This is the Rise Up See Red podcast, all about the Arizona Cardinals and the NFL, featuring insider and outsider perspectives. Enjoy the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. Now here are your hosts, Jess Root and Seth Cox.
Hello, Arizona Cardinals fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the Rise Up See Red podcast, the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. I'm your host, Jess Root from CardsWire.com, USA Today's NFL Wire site, covering, of course, your Arizona Cardinals in as we continue the opponent preview series, where, as we've done for the last several years, come summertime, come June, right before training camp, I round up guys who cover the Cardinals' 14 different opponents over the upcoming season and do a show with each of them. And in this edition of the show, it is about the New York Jets, whom the Cardinals will play in Week 15. And joining me once again, after I think it was the last time you joined, because is Jets Wire managing editor Nick Wojton. I can't remember if it was a Jets role or a Bills role the last time we talked, but welcome again to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jess. You just were saying that there, and just before you asked that question, I was like, yeah, wasn't Bills or Jets last time? But we'll have to go through the archives and find out. But thanks for having me again. No
problem. Well, the Jets have been quite... Well, the Jets are the Jets, of course, and last year was
That's the way to put it.
The Jets are the Jets, and I mean, cover the Cardinals. I can't say a whole lot because the Cardinals are the Cardinals. Last season, the Jets had the same sort of plight as the Cardinals did. They go 3-14. Only they start out the Jets start out 0-7. And then they also lose their final 5 games. The Cardinals started the season 2-3. They end up losing 11 of their final 12 games. They lost 9 in a row, but they did a little bit differently. The Jets were bad offensively and defensively. It was Aaron Glenn's first year as head coach. What was the feeling around Aaron Glenn's first year? Obviously, the year was bad, but what was the feeling around Glenn himself as head coach?
Yeah, if you can kind of book these together, the way that you described their season is the way that the team as a whole, and especially the spotlight was on Glenn himself. So kind of hand in hand here, where, as you said, they started 0-7, I believe it was. Won a couple right in the middle of the season, a couple games, early on. It's the NFL now in 2026, and older guys like us, maybe you'll remember that at one point in time, there's no way in hell that a head coach would get fired after one season. You got to give the guy time. You got to give the guy time. And nowadays, it's what have you done for me lately? So after an 0-7 start, Aaron Glenn, former Jets player, there was very quickly, did this guy have it? Did this guy have it? This is a bad start. Then all of a sudden they win a few games, like right in the middle of the season. Okay, we got maybe we can see it going here. And then rails just went right off again. By the end of the season, Brady Cook was starting at quarterback, undrafted rookie, and that was pretty much the MO. That roller coaster of you got your pits and you got your minor peaks there in the middle, and then it just they came right back down to earth, the Jets, right before the end of the regular season. And that's kind of all that combined. The way that Aaron Glenn looked specifically, it's just maybe not the hottest of seats because of those few wins, but definitely some question marks around him too, because they crashed right back down to earth, Jeff.
So for me, the Aaron Glenn hiring, and I look at this from a Cardinals lens all the time, and there are certain guys who get hired, and to me, feels like Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilks, who was a one-and-done guy in Arizona in 2018. Oddly enough, he was the Jets defensive coordinator.
I was going to say, do you want to know where else he was one and done?
and Wilks' career since taking the Cardinals head coaching job in 2018 it's not been great. He's highly respected. He works his tail off, but the results have just been, he was overmatched in 2018. And it felt like Aaron Glenn was kind of this, he reminds me personality wise, background wise, just like Steve Wilks. And I'm glad, honestly, that he got a second chance, that he got a second season. Were there any bright spots from what the Jets did? Was there anything positive that you could take away from that year?
There's one thing of the entire Jets roster that we can take away as a positive is, even regardless, I think Pro Football Focus maybe even put them midway in their rankings and even the below average area. But there is optimism around their offensive line. That's one area that maybe Aaron Glenn has a hand in this. Wanting to build from the trenches. Dan Campbell, sorry, I was trying to think of the Lions head coach, because Aaron Glenn came from Detroit. All the famous quotes he has that we can go through. This is an Lions podcast, so it was Dan Campbell and everything that he says, but really started to solidify something in the trenches there. So the Jets offensive line, certainly an area. Joe Tippmann extended this offseason. Josh Myers is still a center, and maybe that would be one area that they want to start. They want to upgrade, but you got a couple young players in there that are flourishing. So thankfully, you have the offensive line, which another feather in their cap probably was Breece Hall's first breakout. I would say breakout season. I think it was his first 1,000-yard rushing season, and the offensive line had a big part to do with that. And we can also combine the quarterback play last season too with the Jets, where Breece Hall had no business thinking that he had anywhere to go, because no one was really defending that pass last year. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there is one guy on the roster that I personally root for, is your punter, Austin McNamara. He's a guy I know him and his family. He's from here in Gilbert, Arizona.
Okay.
He was a teammate of my son in high school. I go to church with his parents if they're still around.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So Mac is a guy that I've followed since he went to Texas Tech for college. He ended up sticking around. There was a year he had to battle. He didn't make any rosters, and then made the team last year. Had a pretty freaking good year for a punter.
There we go. Hey, punters are people too.
Punters are people too. But let's move forward and look at what's happened this offseason. So coming up next on the Rise Up Secret podcast, the best of Cardinals talk on the web. Let's move on and discuss the moves that have happened this offseason for the Jets. That's coming up next on Rise Up Red.
Hey, it's Black.
And Abdallah.
It's that time of year, Labor Day weekend, and football is finally back.
My favorite time of year, Black. Tailgates are firing up, grills are hot, and fans are getting ready to celebrate.
And that's what makes it so great. But if you're throwing back a few beers before or after the game, don't make the mistake of thinking you're okay to drive home.
That's right. Every day, about 32 people in the United States die in drunk driving crashes. That's one person every 44 minutes.
Those numbers are tough to ignore. We want everyone enjoying football season, not becoming a part of a statistic.
Just like every good team has a game plan, you need one too. If you're drinking, plan ahead for a safe ride home.
Choose a designated driver, call a rideshare, ask a sober friend for a ride.
Because one bad decision off the field can have far-reaching consequences.
So enjoy the football, enjoy the tailgate, but keep in mind, law enforcement is out there calling penalties for real.
If you've been drinking, be our MVP and don't get behind the wheel. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
We're back on the Rise Up Secret podcast, the best of Cardinals talk on the web, talking to Nick Wojton from the Jets Wire, their lead writer over there. The Jets, after a 3-14 season, Aaron Glenn returns, but they do change coordinators. Now they have a well-known Frank Reich as their offensive coordinator, depending on what people think of him, and defensive coordinator Brian Duker. What do you think of those moves in particular?
Yeah, I mean, the highlighted one is definitely Reich. Just his experience is something that's combined with let's not, I don't want to get too far ahead in the script here, but the experience of Frank Reich coming in, combined with the experience of Geno Smith coming in, is something that's very much welcomed in Gang Green over here. And in terms of the defensive side of the ball, we were discussing Steve Wilkes before, and made probably the similar personality as you alluded to before between him and Aaron Glenn. But Glenn had his back all season last year. Not going to get rid of him. Not going to get rid of him. Gets rid of him.
I mean, what else are you going to say during the season? You can't say anything different than the season. Like, well,
yeah.
I think we'll probably change after. No, they can't do that. What's he going to say?
Of course, Coke speak, as I like to call it. You already mentioned I do the Bills, and I swear nobody better than Sean McDermott ever saying words without actually saying anything. But in that realm, though, on the defensive side, Wilkes has departed the Jets, and now it's going to be Aaron Glenn's defense, actually. And why I mentioned, backing Wilkes, which again naturally he would do. Now, without Wilkes there, it's what Aaron Glenn, quote unquote, called it was his superpower, was his ability to call the defense. So it's going to be Glenn's baby now on that side of the ball, with Duker helping, of course. So yeah, just the word, big trigger word, buzzword, if you want, for both coordinators, both sides of the ball that are being led now in New York is experience now, because no young guys around. It's guys who have been around the block now. So by rule of thumb, they should have some better output there. I mean, the Jets, at least, I don't want to put the bar too high, but the Jets did not record a single interception last season. So if they can
it's incredible.
The bar is not super high. Yeah, that is incredible. I didn't think they were going to get. Even the couple years I've covered the Jets, I didn't think they were going to do that. I thought there was going to be some quarterback, some running back that throws a trick pass that somebody grabs.
Interceptions happened by accident.
Yeah, exactly. Because all of a sudden we're in week 15, 16, and I'm like, it's going to happen, isn't it? They're going to make it all the way without it. Anyways, yeah. So the bar's low with that experience that should improve on both sides of the ball in terms of the coaching aspect.
They make two changes at quarterback. They trade Justin Fields to the Chiefs, and they trade for Geno Smith. They also make a trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick as well. But the move at quarterback, what's the notion there? Was it to bring in someone stable? How concerning? Geno's been, it's nice to have the full circle, as he was drafted by the Jets, kind of flamed out there, looked like a bust. Then he sort of came around, had some really good years in Seattle. Last year in Vegas, not a good year. What version of Geno Smith do you expect to see in 2026?
Well, who knows, right? With the curveball, as you mentioned, is going to be that Raiders season. That wasn't his best look. And then the full circle, it's a good storyline, of course, for folks in our business. The good old full circle storyline. But Geno Smith was pumping his chest a little bit, coming to New Jersey and beating up on the Jets too, and he was with the Seahawks and whatnot too. So it's pretty funny to me thinking about that, how happy he was to beat the Jets, and now he's so happy to be back. But really, it's all about with Geno. Who knows what to expect? But the one thing you can expect 100%, and this is pretty much the talking point with Geno Smith, is you can expect him not to be Justin Fields, because Justin Fields was brought in last year by comparison, where I think he was 4-2 with the Steelers after the Bears. A couple games he got there. So, okay, this guy's got a winning record. Okay, former top pick. What's he going to do? He didn't do a whole hell of a lot last year. And he was brought in as a player with, as we ended up seeing, much lower floor, but potentially he has a bigger ceiling. What's this guy got? Let's see. Let's go, Justin. This is yours. What are you going to do? Maybe your last chance. Didn't do enough. Nice guy by all accounts, but, call a spade a spade. With Geno, the one thing you can definitely, I think, expect, and who I don't think he's going to light the world on fire, but in terms of floors, the floor with Geno is going to be much higher than I think it would have been with Fields. Just to keep the offense steady, He's got a couple pieces around him now the Jets haven't had all the time on that side of the ball in terms of playmakers, at least, or other than Garrett Wilson. Now they got a couple pieces around him. So yeah, the expectation and what I expect too is just a higher floor, a couple of steady drives a game. Because man, I tell you, they went entire games all the time last year where it was like, oh brother, a single-digit yards going into halftime. Sometimes it was,
man.
the grind of covering those games where you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta do 5 takeaways. How many times can I write that this was brutal?
Like this guy was bad. This guy was bad.
Yeah.
This guy was bad.
Yeah, it's like, man, by all accounts, Justin Fields seemed like a really nice guy too, and I'm like, God, I got to beat up on this guy again.
Yes, in free agency, who we're gonna now they also traded Jermaine Johnson, reuniting him with Robert Saleh. Jermaine Johnson, a player I'm particularly fond of in terms of talent, but Tyrod Taylor goes to the Packers, Quincy Williams heads to the Browns, John Simpson to the Rams. Rather the Ravens. Who else? Who are the biggest losses for the Jets this offseason? And I will add this caveat: when teams are bad, it often is they just want to get rid of most of the stink from the previous season. I remember that happening several times after 2018. It didn't matter whether you were decent; they cleaned. Almost nobody was left that had any trace of anything from that season. And so I understand if there's not any real impact losses, but who do you think are the biggest losses that the Jets had in free agency?
Yeah, you mentioned Jermaine Johnson, but really, if we're going to talk offseason losses for the Jets, and you want to talk about impact ones, big ones, let's expand it here. Instead of just offseason, let's call it 2025 losses then. Because the Jets' biggest losses they had in the past year, Quinn Williams getting traded during the season, and then Sauce Gardner getting traded during the season. So, to your point, you're right. Aaron Glenn wanted to clean house. He wanted to get his MO in the building, and they didn't waste time doing that. They did it. Their losses were really those guys in the middle of the season. So, those two for sure. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves with those guys. I mean, they certainly put up individual numbers in New York, both players, Sauce and Quinnen, but they just didn't have it around them at any point, and they got good hauls for him too. Glenn and Darren Moji, I always say his name wrong, the general manager. I can spell it though, so that's probably good for our jobs here. But they got great hauls, couple first-round picks. The Jets are set up for the future. 3 first-round picks coming up, and then from this past year, a couple more in the next few years. So those are the clear losses for the Jets. But 2025 losses, we'll call them.
And then in additions, they bolstered a few spots defensively. They added David Onyemata. They added longtime Saints linebacker Demario Davis. Hopefully he's got something left in the tank. Former Bengals pass rusher Joseph Osai. They swap kickers. They get Jason Sanders. They add Tavondre Sweat to the middle of that defense. Big guy. We'll see if I know the big might be a little bit too big when he's coming out of the draft. I remember talking about that with my co-host. With guys that size, you always wonder. And they add Dylan Parham. Is there any who are going to have the biggest impacts of the guys that they added in free agency?
Yeah, in terms of the free agent additions, veteran wise, the names and trade wise, you have Minka Fitzpatrick, and you have Demario Davis coming in. And in the sense of where we just mentioned, they moved out Sauce, they moved out Quinnen. Again, good players, but a coach like Aaron Glenn, again coming from the Dan Campbell tree, he wants to make his own imprint on the roster. He wants his mindset in the building along with his scheme and everything else. And those two, for as much as they potentially can do on the field alone, those two guys, veteran guys, they were brought in for a reason as veterans. that those are the two big ones that a lot of people are looking for to bring in that veteran leadership to change the tides with everything else, like all the changes they got going on. They really want those guys to spearhead it, and probably some pretty good candidates to do that, honestly. So
then we move on to the draft and 3 first-round picks. Number 2 overall, they go with David Bailey. How much did they? Was it David Bailey the whole time? Or was there discussion as to whether it would be Reese, whether it would be Arvell Reese? Because had David Bailey not gone number 2, I'm pretty sure he would have gone number 3 to the Cardinals, which is cross it. That's the team. That's the guy that I wanted, honestly. Yeah. I wanted David Bailey. How much was he always the guy, and how good do you think he can be?
Time will tell. I mean, the whole MO with Bailey coming out as opposed to Reese. More, and I was talking about the quarterbacks before as well. And I think the consensus was that maybe Reese has a higher ceiling, and then Bailey is a very high floor already. He's already a very promising player himself in his own right. So expectations because of that, maybe just even hitting the ground running potentially, and that's where the trade with Johnson to the Titans kind of came in, because now Bailey's got a spot right there for himself to he's got some veterans around him to help, and he's got a spot right there. So we'll see if he can hit the ground running. But in terms of 2, I think up until about couple days before the draft, I was thinking it was going to be Reese. And I don't know if it's just my doing this for so long, Jess, if I'm just a skeptic about everything these days, and I'm thinking smoke screen. This is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. I was thinking it was gonna be Reese. Got some versatility and whatnot, and then I'd probably say a few days before the draft, the consensus was finally, at least around New York, that okay, they're probably gonna go. We've heard enough people of the Shefties and rep sheets of the world that it seemed like, it was gonna go Bailey. So they had me going for a while, though. I wasn't quite sure. So maybe that's to their credit too, because sometimes between certain front offices or regimes, if you will, that you cover, it's as you know, some of them, the leaks are left and right that come out. You know everything that's going to happen before it happens, and they've been keeping things under wraps nowadays. And at one Jets drive. So good for them.
And they go with the 16th pick. They get Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon, promising pass catcher, adding tools to that, adding weapons to that offensive side of the ball. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and then Kenyon Sadiq. What was your take on him coming out? As how high do you think he can be? Is he Trey McBride? Is he Colston Loveland? Like, what type of player is he going to be?
Yeah, tight ends are, to me at least, so interesting going from the college game to the pro game. The last couple of years, though, you've had some guys that have come out and hit the ground running. He was, in terms of you asked before, Jess, about surprise expectations with the second pick, and the second pick as opposed to 16th pick, of course, is different. But nobody really saw this Sadiq one coming, because the Jets, they also have Mason Taylor from last year's draft. So he's going to be a second-year pro. And by comparison, I think the expectations are higher with Sadiq because his playmaking skill is pretty unbelievable. So I'm expecting him to hit the ground running, and his addition almost seemed, with the whole factor of the tight end room here, I'm more curious now what's going to happen to Mason Taylor. I actually almost had some pretty quick expectations of Sadiq. I mean, his take really impressed me a lot coming out. So I think he's gonna have a good year with a veteran guy like Geno Smith. Those veteran QBs know their safety routes a lot better than someone like, say, Justin Fields, and knows where to get the ball quick if he needs to, and a tight end plays on that perfectly. But maybe the Taylor being around too. Mason Taylor, son of Jason Taylor. Maybe they'll have I don't want to put a Patriots tight end tandem on these two young guys too early, but you're going to get to Cooper, I'm sure, as well. And I referenced before, while David Bailey is, of course, the number 2 overall pick, then you got Cooper was 30 and Sadiq 16. All these guys, plus Taylor, plus Breece Hall. Nobody can remember in New York a Jets offense that had this many playmakers before on it with actual legitimate. Well, these guys are pretty good. This quarterback's got some help around him for once, especially too Garrett Wilson now, because for years Garrett Wilson has put up these 1,000-yard seasons somehow with who he's had them throwing the ball, and he still puts up 1,000 yards. And now it's okay. We got Sadiq over here, we got Cooper over there, we got Breece Hall in the backfield. These defenses can't really. I'm sure they'll lean to Garrett Wilson. He's very, very talented. But just the plethora of all these weapons combined, it's even, you might be able to tell my voice, Jess. Even I'm a little curious and excited about how this can go. I mean, I did have to watch the 2025 Jets, so
that's true. And in fairness, Adonai Mitchell. Now, granted, he's more known for the boneheaded move.
Too.
He coming out of college. He was kind of the sleeper pick in terms of the wide receivers as who could be really impactful. And you've got Wilson, Mitchell, Cooper, and Sadiq to go with Breece Hall. It's a really nice, skilled group of players for Geno Smith, which honestly he could have used last year.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning Mitchell last year. Thank you for mentioning Mitchell too, because God love us football media and fans. We have our even spring, training camp darlings, that the guys that stand out then, but God love us that we still got them in spring practices too. We got the guys that stand out there who really turn some heads. It was Mitchell of everyone who's been the guy that's like, okay, like he's looking, him and Gino are got a little something going here, it looks like. But of course, 7-on-7s. We'll see. We got a long way to go, but another one for you. Thanks, sir. I told myself not to forget him, and of course I did. But there's such a list of them with the Jets, which is so unheard of. Even when the last time they were, a prominent team, it was always a defense. So it's been a while here.
In round 2, they get cornerback, also out of Indiana, D'Angelo Pons. Round 4, defensive tackle Darrell Jackson out of Florida State. Cade Klubnik in round 4, quarterback out of Clemson, offensive lineman and is Cooper out of Miami. And then in round 7, VJ Payne. Obviously, Klubnik is kind of your project for the future. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Is there anyone in that group from Pons on down that can have an impact year one?
Yeah, I don't want to take the low-hanging fruit here, but I'm going to go Pons. It's the big comparison that has been made with Pons and his play, and he stood out, caught some good headlines during spring practices as well. But tons of comparisons to him and a guy named Aaron Glenn. His play style and everything. He's looking like he can have some promise behind him as a second round pick. Again, I feel bad taking a low hanging fruit there as the second round pick between all of them. But truly, he is the one of that group to keep an eye on.
All right, coming up next on the Rise Up Here podcast, the Best Cardinals talk on the line. Let's look ahead to 2026 expectations and more. That's coming up next on Rise Up Red.
Hey, it's Black.
And Abdallah.
It's that time of year, Labor Day weekend, and football is finally back.
My favorite time of year, Black. Tailgates are firing up, grills are hot, and fans are getting ready to celebrate.
And that's what makes it so great. But if you're throwing back a few beers before or after the game, don't make the mistake of thinking you're okay to drive home.
That's right. Every day, about 32 people in the United States die in drunk driving crashes. That's one person every 44 minutes.
Those numbers are tough to ignore. We want everyone enjoying football season, not becoming a part of a statistic.
Just like every good team has a game plan, you need one too. If you're drinking, plan ahead for a safe ride home.
Choose a designated driver, call a rideshare, ask a sober friend for a ride.
Because one bad decision off the field can have far-reaching consequences.
So enjoy the football, enjoy the tailgate, but keep in mind, law enforcement is out there calling penalties for real.
If you've been drinking, be our MVP and don't get behind the wheel. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
We're back on the Rise Up Here podcast, the Best of Cardinals talk on the web. Talking to Nick Wojton from the Jets Wire, lead writer over there. As we look ahead to the Jets 2026 season, they're going to take on the Cardinals in Week 15. But before then, what does this team look like they could be this year? What are reasonable expectations? And what do you think their floor and ceiling is?
Well, it is the Jets, so their floor, you never want to imagine what that floor could be in gangrene. It could be pretty low, maybe their floor. But, I mentioned Geno. I don't expect them to have as poor of a season on either side of the ball as they did last season. Again, somehow no interceptions on defense, which is incredible to pull off an entire year. So that's going to improve there. They're going to be they're set up to have more wins for sure this season. I could see. Do you have their over under? I was just trying to look it up, Jess. What their over under wins total is there?
Do not remember.
Win total. But just had it here. Sorry, sir. 5.5. Yeah, I was going to say 5.5. 5.5. I could see them realistically getting to 6 wins next season, to getting over that. And the most important part, I think, involved with all this, Geno floor is going to be up. I think Aaron Glenn is going to be. He called it his superpower again. His play calling. I think that is going to help the defense in general alone. I can see them getting there 5-6 wins, definitely more than they had last season. But what they have in their back pocket, this is natural for me to make this comparison. As you said, I do plenty of AFC East, especially Jets and Bills. And the Bills, once upon a time, got a guy named Josh Allen. They didn't have the number 1 overall pick. He went 7, I believe. No, I feel like I'm aging myself now. It feels like forever ago they got Allen, but but the point I'm trying to make here is to wrap it all together. They got a couple first-round picks. They got a lot of high picks together. So the Jets just, starts at the top, trickles down to the team. Glenn's going to be motivated, even for his own job security too. They're going to be motivated, this team, to get wins, and they're not going to be in a tank mode at all, I don't think, at any point this season, unless injuries or something strike. So they can push to maybe 5, 6, 7 wins, and they have all these picks in their back pocket where Geno can see the writing on the wall, his age, and everyone around the football world, that he is a bridge quarterback, and the Jets are going to be in the market for a top quarterback. They can still get up there and get one if they want next season, and still put together a promising formula here, kind of like the Bills did with Josh Allen. They traded, combined some picks, move up, got Josh Allen, got their guy, I don't know, I don't want to call it rose-tinted glasses or what you want to call it, but because all this combined, I've seen this story before. The Bills broke their playoff drought somehow, God willing, in Sean McDermott's first season. Then package your picks, moved up, got Josh Allen. No, I don't know if the Jets are going to break their playoff drought. I don't want to go there. Yes, I have had my coffee today. I'm not talking crazy here. But
that's almost like talking about the Cardinals competing in the NFC West this year.
Yeah. I mean, I was just actually going to say, you mentioned the division. The real, I would say that they can hit their over. That would be their ceiling, if you will, to answer the question directly. Their ceiling, I could see 6-7 wins even from this team. When you finish in the basement, you get a more favorable schedule, of course, as the schedule makers go. So that'll help. But another thing that's going to help, AFC East, the absolute floor is if the Miami Dolphins finish ahead of the New York Jets somehow in 2026. That is crazy. So I don't want to write anything in pen here because we are talking about the New York Jets. But if you don't beat the Miami Dolphins twice next year, something wrong. So there's almost halfway to that 5.5 right there. Sprinkle a couple more in there. And you never know what happened. The Jets they've beaten the infamous Aaron Rodgers 2-snap game. They beat the Buffalo Bills that day without Aaron Rodgers. They've pulled some random wins against the Bills. I've seen it. So I'd say their ceiling that would be 6-7 wins, and floor good God, if they finish below the Miami Dolphins in the AFC, I don't know. I'm gonna have to need more coffee or something because I don't see that happening in any way. But that would be everyone's gone again right there.
Yeah, that would look like that. Now, as we look at their Week 15 game on the road against the Cardinals, how is that game perceived? Is that a will win, should win, toss up, unlikely win for you guys?
I mean, if the Jets are going to be a team, like I said, reference with the Dolphins, they should get 2 wins against them in the division. I think they should, if they are going to try to change the culture, of course, our lovely NFL trigger word culture. If they're going to change this culture around, the Jets got to be winning that game against the Cardinals too. So right there, I didn't write it in pen, and I'm not going to write it in pen for any team in the NFL any given Sunday. Of course, I am just rolling with the cliches today.
Well, it's honestly, the Jets game is one of like 3 games when I look on the schedule for the Cardinals, and that's a maybe win. That you go through the Cardinals schedule, it's hard to find wins based on the schedule they've got and what the roster looks like. But the Jets game is a maybe win. It's a kind of a toss-up game. Granted, it is in Arizona. It's after the Cardinals are coming off their bye, and honestly, I bet Carson Beck will be starting by that game, so who knows at that point. But yeah,
that's what I was going to get to as well. By Week 15, I'm like, oh man, where's Gino going to be at by Week 15?
It's going to be Klubnik versus Beck.
Yeah. I'm like, oh no, where are we going with this now? Week 15, you can't lay that.
Yeah, especially it's because you guys have the bye the week before the Cardinals. You got a Week 13 bye. Then they play the Broncos and the Cardinals. That bye week there, assuming things are going like that, would be a good spot for Klubnik to get in. You've got 2 weeks to prepare for the Broncos. Then you go on the road against the Cardinals. And that's kind of the same thing. The Cardinals have the Week 14 bye. And like if they've managed to push it that back, like I can see that no matter what's happening, Beck's going to be starting that game. And so it might very well be Klubnik versus Beck at that point.
Yeah. It's and I didn't know you guys had your bye at that point as well. You said it was a week before the Jets.
Yes. So
so that factors in too. I wasn't at any point with the New York Jets going to say this is a for sure win. I don't want listeners to think I'm crazy here.
It's a maybe win. Maybe win for the Cardinals.
If they're touting, if they want to be the team they want to be, that right now is circle as a game. The Jets should be winning, not will win, should be winning. But again, by the time we get to then, where is Gino going to be, and where is maybe the savior Cade Klubnik going to be? I doubt.
Well, I will say this: Geno Smith versus Jacoby Brissett might be the least interesting starting quarterback matchup of the year.
That is a degenerate gambler's game right there, baby. that is the only one watching that.
That's called the least interesting. I know Geno Smith. I will say this: I've talked about it on the show a lot that Jacoby Brissett as a starting quarterback is the least interesting starting quarterback in the NFL because he's old. He's in his 30s. He's never really won. He doesn't offer promise, and they were 1-11 with him last year and lost their last 9 games. So there's not like he did put up fantasy numbers. Fantasy guys who picked him up were paid off because he basically threw 2 touchdown passes every game. But Geno Smith, and like the one thing that makes him slightly more interesting is the success that he had in Seattle. He was never there was some excitement early, but he's kind of a you got Geno Smith, but even he is more interesting than Jacoby Brissett because you get the whole returning back the full circle thing. He was a playoff. He looked like an MVP for part of the season, but he was a playoff quarterback for the Seahawks a couple years. Can he bring that back? And Jacoby's never been that guy, but even still, not a very maybe Cade Klubnik versus Carson Beck at least offers a little bit of interest late in the year because you've got the intrigue is do either team have anybody with some promise?
Yeah, and even you're right that we'll see where we are by the end of the season, but the young guys getting their shot under center would make it more interesting by week 15. Me and you might not want to be looking at our screens by week 15. Who knows?
But there's points to be scored, man. Because with Breece Hall and there's points to be scored at least for both teams. It's just a matter of whether or not their defenses are any good.
And sometimes with Geno too, there's especially going after the Raiders and stuff, but really throughout portions of his career, I'm just thinking of intrigue here. Just like, could he go into Arizona and have 3 touchdown passes and 300 yards? Yeah. Could he have 125 and 4 interceptions?
Also possible.
Geno Smith, depending on what Geno Smith the Jets are going to get, it could be, we could be in for a roller coaster. But that is the Geno Smith and New York Jets MO. So yeah.
And awesome. That is Nick Wojton, lead right over the Jets wire. I believe you're still covering the Bills too, so you're doing half the AFC East over there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you can find his work at Bills Wire, covering Josh Allen and all the fun that they're having over there with their off season. You can catch him over at the Jets Wire. Is anywhere else where you've got stuff cooking?
Oh, me, someone needs help with something, I pop on their sites, whatnot. So, but those are my 2 mainstays, Jess. Especially our AFC friends with the Patriots and Dolphins. Whenever they need something, I'm like, guys, I got this. I've got the best of both worlds already in the AFC East. Let me just get in the middle here now of the group, right? So, but yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Nick. That'll wrap up this edition of the Rise Up Series podcast of SR Cardinals Talk on the web. We've got one opponent preview show left to do, and then we've got lots of training camp coverage. But until then, thanks for listening. As always, we'll be back again soon.
Thanks for listening to the latest edition of the Rise Up See Red podcast. Listen to previous episodes and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Audioboom, or many other podcast platforms, so shows are delivered directly to your mobile device. Please give the show a 5-star rating and always support the sponsors who support the show. We'll be back soon for the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. Rise up, Red Sea, be Red, See Red, and of course, Rise Up, See Red.
Meet Keith, loving dad, board game champ, bus driving pro.
I drive 65,000 miles in my bus each year. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. Like how there are some things I simply can't see. On my route the other day, a car tried to sneak past me and ends up right in my blind spot. I turned slowly, so accident avoided. But no car should be in the blind spot for a 40,000-pound bus. It's our roads. It's our safety.
Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.